Hi, this is Joni and John with Healthy Living in the Villages, and today we're going to show you excerpts from our last Healthy Aging meeting. It was really exciting. We had a fellow villager, Diane Bray, come and speak to the group. She is on the board of directors for the plant-based groups here in the villages. So she came and spoke to us about plant-based eating and the benefits and the values and her own personal experience of what happened for her with changing her eating habits. So we're really excited. So, and if you're not aware of what lifestyle groups are here, we weren't. These are groups that are started by residents to have a place where you can get together with other people that have the same passion as you do. So there's lifestyle groups for everything and anything you can imagine. And if there isn't one here that fits your passion, you can start one yourselves. So we started the Healthy Aging because we wanted a platform to be able to get together with other people and talk about how here in the villages you have everything you need to have a long and vibrant life, pretty much following the blue zones. If you've never heard of the blue zones, that's areas of the world that have been discovered that people live over 100, and not in nursing homes. They live over 100, having very active lives. So
we're going to try to share what was common with these blue zones, their methods, and share them with you so that you can live longer and healthier and happier.
Exactly. So it's never going to sell products, right, or potions or anything, but it's going to give you real life things that you can put in practice.
No shakes.
No shakes. But just, it gives you the ideas, and hopefully you leave these meetings excited and passionate about, number one, where we live, because we have all this available, but most importantly, ideas of what you can do to keep yourself as healthy as possible. So that's what our group is about, and we're gonna jump into the meeting with Diane, and hopefully you guys enjoy it, and hopefully when you live here in the villages, you can come to one of our meetings. We'd love to see you.
Thank you so much, Joni, for inviting me to speak to this group today. I'm very, very passionate about my whole food plant-based journey, and I'm very happy and excited about my results. And I'm here to share them with you today. And I'm not here to twist your arm to go whole food plant-based. I'm not here to shame you if you eat animal products, but I'm here to share information. What are my credentials? I am an expert in my own experiences, and I own that. I do not have any medical degrees. I'm here mainly to give you educational materials. There are a myriad of experts in the field, and I've brought a few books over on the table, and you can look at them. My absolute hero is Dr. Michael Greger. He's got a book back there called How Not to Die. I read that book in about 4 days. If I wasn't eating or sleeping, I was reading that book. Every page was an aha moment. In our household, my husband and I have a phrase that's called trust but verify. So I hope that what I'm saying tonight, you will trust what I'm saying to be true to the best of my knowledge, but I hope that you will question not only me, but your doctor and the medical community and what you've been told all of your life. The answer to our healthcare system, the answer lies with each and every one of you and the choices that you make every day, all day long. You are the CEO of your life. Your bodies have memories. Everything that you do, your body remembers. There are 35 trillion cells in your body. And it takes years, if not decades, for disease to manifest in your body. It's not something you catch. It's not something for the most part, it's not something that you inherit. It is up to you. You are empowered to make choices every single day. Realize that what you're not changing, you are choosing, or you're unwilling to change. There are consequences for each of your decisions. Did you know that the U.S. is number one in the use of pharmaceuticals? The U.S. is number one in the cost of the dollars spent in healthcare. But the U.S. is one of the last places for life expectancy. Other countries far surpass us, especially in Europe. Unfortunately, medical doctors are not trained in nutrition, and they will be the first to admit it. They have a few hours of education regarding nutrition, and that is it. They are not there to teach you about disease prevention. They are there to treat you once you get a particular disease or you have a chronic health issue. I'm here to inspire you and make you think about your current diet and lifestyle. I've always believed that the most important decisions are the decisions that you make to yourself. Cleaning up your diet is a very good place to start if you want to live pain-free and disease-free. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my history. I'm a Midwest gal. I grew up in Wisconsin. My father worked as a butcher for the Oscar Myers Company, and my mother worked for a cheese packing plant. Needless to say, I grew up on eating a lot of meat, eggs, cheese, fish, dairy, and the like. And my wake-up call came many years ago when I was diagnosed with hyperthyroidism, and I was put on meds. And I was told by 2 doctors I would be on those meds for life. Then I moved to Cincinnati, and I got a new endocrinologist. And she said to me, would you like to get off your meds? And I said, I'd love to get off my meds, but 2 doctors told me I would be on those for life. She said, no, she said, you have the power to get off those meds if you want. She said, most people are on meds because they're unwilling or unable to make changes to their diet and their lifestyle. So I asked her, how would I change that? And she said, without batting an eyelash, go organic, which I already was, organic, whole food, plant-based, and gluten-free. She said, I want you to figure out your reason for getting hyperthyroidism. She gave me a book. I have it on the table. It's green. It's about the root cause. And it's really important that if you have a disease to figure out what is the root cause of why you got that disease. And so I got that book and I read it cover to cover. I came back to her with a 5-page type list because I racked my brain of all the things starting from childhood, diseases I had, things I ate, what meds they gave me, that kind of thing. And I came back and I told her, oh, I know why I have hyperthyroidism. I know why I have all these other health issues. She smiled. And then she said, it's really important for you to come up, or I decided, it's really important for me to come up with a compelling why I should change to a whole food plant-based diet. It can't be because your spouse wants you to lose weight or your doctor says you need to go on this plant-based diet. It has to come from within. You have to decide, and you have to have a compelling reason why.
So Diane had a health scare, which is a common issue here in the villages, of course. So I really love how she took her health issue and used that as a springboard to make changes that she's describing to us here in with her diet.
You have to ask yourself the question, what do you want and what do you want most? Well, what I didn't want is I didn't want to go to full-fledged diabetes. The first month, I went to see her every 3 months. The first month, I did absolutely nothing. I did a lot of reading. I read Dr. Greger's book. And then when I decided to go 100% whole food plant-based, I got rid of all the the animal products. I went full-fledged plant-based. I came back to see her. I had been plant-based only 8 weeks. She looked at my blood work and she said, "What have you been doing?" And I said, I kind of cringed, and I thought she was going to slap my hand emotionally. And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Your blood work is beautiful. You can take those thyroid meds and throw them in the garbage." And I said, "I've only been doing this 8 weeks. I didn't do anything the first month." And then she said, "And you're no longer pre-diabetic." And there's never been a problem since. And this was 7 years ago that I made that change. I also told my doctor the first meeting, I said, "I think I have my osteopenia is getting worse." And if any of you know what osteoporosis is, osteopenia is the precursor to osteoporosis. So I didn't want to go down the road to osteoporosis, which is brittling of your bones. And she said, "Oh no, it's your arthritis." And I said, "Oh, that's what my mother had." I didn't think that I had arthritis. Then when I came back to see her that second time, I said, "Guess what, Doc? My arthritis is gone, totally gone. It's never come back." When I would bend over in the shower, I would have popping and snapping, and it would hurt. And it's gone. It never came back. What did I do? I just changed my diet. I got rid of all the animal products. I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to quickly go through and tell you all the things that changed when I went whole food plant-based. And I'm not going to go into them, but just slightly go through them. I told you about the hyperthyroidism. I had heart palpitations. They went away. My prediabetes went away. My arthritis went away. I went to have my bone density checked every 2 years, and I saved my records, and it decreased. It was going downhill every time that I had my results. And then I went whole food plant-based, and I had a bone density test, and my numbers improved. 2 years later, another bone density test, and my numbers improved again. What changed? My diet. And I was very adamant about keeping with this way of eating.
So this is exactly what John did, and I love that instead of just agreeing that for the rest of her life, and for John as well, that they were going to take medication, they decided to find ways that they could change their lifestyle to help their body heal. And I love that. And I do understand there are some people that need to be on medication, so we're not saying that that's wrong. But if it's a situation where your lifestyle can make a change, put the effort in, right?
I go to see my eye doctor every year, and my eye doctor did a macular degeneration test on my eyes. And after he did my exam, he pulled up my results, and he said, "Oh, wow, you got an 84. You cannot get those kind of numbers without eating copious amounts of greens. You will never get glaucoma or macular degeneration like your mother had. You can't, because your numbers are too high." Asthma and bronchitis as a child, I used an inhaler, and that contributed to my poor bones as well. Because what did they give me? They gave me steroids. And I'm going to read something that a quote from the Daily Sun. "Persistent asthma is linked to plaque buildup in arteries, leading to your brain, raising your risk for a stroke. People with asthma have a high degree of inflammation and a risk factor for cardiovascular disease." Again, it's animal products that cause the inflammation. Antioxidant level is through the roof. My doctor has never seen scores like my antioxidants. When I went in to have it tested, the nurse came out and she said, "We know what you eat." And then my doctor also did a telomere test, and my biological age is 5 years younger than my chronological age. So I think I'm doing the right thing.
I love here how she is documenting her tests and tracking her numbers.
Exactly. Right. I wouldn't leave that up to someone else. I see the same thing with fitness. I mean, it's much better for people to get motivated and get the discipline when they can see a definitive change. And you don't normally see a change before you see it in numbers. Does that make sense? So you'll see a change in your body metrics before you might actually see it in person. And that keeps you going. And when you realize that there is progress being made, that's the best motivator, and that's the best way to get better discipline.
Right, and it builds your confidence. You know that what you're doing is working towards
your goal.
Improvement.
Exactly.
And the best one of all, a few months ago, my son asked me, "Mom, are you 65 yet?" And I said, "Oh, honey, you're so sweet. I'm going to be 74 on my next birthday." And he said, "Oh, really?" So there's a lot to be said for being plant-powered. Yes, genes do play a part in your health, but a very small part. Diet and lifestyle turns on and off your genes.
I think this is the most important quote of her whole talk, and I love her whole talk. But this quote really, to me, one of our favorite podcasters and doctors that we follow is Dr. Mark Hyman, and I'm going to paraphrase this, but he talks about how genes are the piano and your lifestyle hits the keys. And I don't know about you, but that gives me goosebumps because it's so true. So you might be genetically predisposed to something, but it's your lifestyle that turns on or off. So I love that thought of it's a piano and you're choosing what keys get hit. So.
Right. There's a lot of people that fall back on, it is what it is.
Right.
But that's not the case.
Exactly. You have some control.
Genetics loads the gun, but diet and lifestyle pulls that trigger. The bottom line is animal products, sugar, salt, oils. There's a book on the back table. It's How to Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease by Dr. Esselstyn. He's a very, very well-respected doctor throughout the world, and he helps people prevent and reverse heart disease. So what is whole food plant-based eating? I'm going to tell you what it is not. It's not eating meat, fish, poultry, eggs, dairy, or sugar, salt, or oil, processed foods, junk foods, fast foods. And I have upped the ante personally. I don't eat gluten and I don't drink alcohol. Eating whole food plant-based is the only way of eating that can prevent and reverse disease. Prevent it and reverse it. Tell you that food and your diet and your lifestyle is very powerful and you have the control. Whole food plant-based eating, we don't count calories. It's nutrient dense, not calorie dense. Nothing tastes as good as healthy feels is the way I look at it. We're feeding not our stomachs, but we're feeding our gut microbiome. And the best thing we can do is lots of chewing and lots of variety. A lot of times people ask me what I eat. And so today I went and copied down everything that I ate, and I counted up like 46 different foods in one day. 46. And that's really typical. In my breakfast alone, there are 22 ingredients. Now I'm going to talk to you about if you decide to go whole food plant-based, what are some key things that would help you? There's an interactive app called Daily Dozen by Dr. Michael Greger, who wrote How Not to Die. There's a chart on the table, and I have that on my phone, and it's interactive. It has 20 boxes, and so you can use it throughout the day. When I first went whole food plant-based, I wasn't getting enough greens or or beans. And that's what told me, because I check that off every day. And his website, called nutritionfacts.org, is another very powerful tool. If you've got a question about any type of disease, put it in the search engine, hit search, and you'll find articles, podcasts, videos, all kinds of things. It's very powerful. If you're going to go whole food, plant-based, clean out your fridge and your pantry. Find a plant-based mentor and give yourself lots of grace.
So that is a great point. And I mean, I would say the same thing with fitness. If you want to be an ultra athlete, then yes, you have to commit to probably several hours a day of your time in the gym and preparing for whatever it is that you're going to be an ultra sports person in. But that doesn't mean that the average person that's doing their workouts the way they do them, it's not beneficial, right? You're still getting benefit. But if you're looking for that goal of being that ultra marathoner or that ultra whatever, it takes more time and commitment. So I look at plant-based the same way.
There are some of the things that we do not touch. Processed food. Once or twice a year, processed food. We cut down a lot on red meat. We do eat a reasonable amount of fish, and then a little bit of chicken. But then I'd say we're about 60% plant-based?
I would guess that. And I
60%.
Yes, and I agree with Diane on the organic. I go more with the quality of what we're getting. So if we are going to have meat, I try to get the highest quality, organic, grass-fed. Chicken, same thing. You know, everything that we get, that's what I go more for, the quality of it.
Right.
But like you said, we still will go out to eat, and if we want a dessert, we'll get it. We'll split it though. If we want a drink, we'll have it, but in moderation. And always, if you're going to have alcohol, a glass of water between each. I mean, so we definitely agree with the plant-based diet. But for us, what we found that works the best is maybe 60 to 70% of our meals are plant-based, and definitely feel the difference and love it.
Oh, I can tell with my cholesterol, once we
Yes.
switched over to a plant-based heavy diet, my cholesterol numbers went down, stayed down. So
There's our numbers.
definitely-
There's the tracking
definitely did it.
that helps, right?
Right.
And it doesn't mean we don't enjoy things. I mean, that meat and cheese tray that you made, we had to bring that to a get together.
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous, and he did such a phenomenal job. And we made a really big one because it was a big party.
It's a big charcuterie board.
So we had to bring a lot of it home. So we were eating meat and cheese.
It was a Memorial Day, and I had set my blood test up for the day after Memorial Day. And I did stop eating 12 hours before, but my cholesterol number jumped like 90 points in 10 days. I had a cholesterol test 10 days before, and then I had it the day after the meat and cheese tray. So the food you eat definitely affects it, and the doctor said that's no problem. And I said I even took a picture of it to show him what I had eaten to explain what happened to the number.
Well, I'm glad you did, only because that board was gorgeous. I mean, hands down, you do a
Well,
really good job.
I wasn't going to throw it away.
If you invite us to a party, you want him to bring a charcuterie board.
Yeah, so
amazing.
So anyway, that's one of the couple times a year.
Right.
Maybe Christmas or Thanksgiving the other time. So something like that.
When you're at the grocery store, stay on the outside aisles as much as possible. Once you go down the middle aisles, you're going to run into boxes of things, cans of things, and you want to stay as fresh or frozen as you can. I'm going to read a quote also that I got from the Daily Sun. It was people who eat or drink foods high in antioxidant flavonoids, a chemical found in a variety of fruits and veggies, may have a slower rate of memory decline. And that's from the American Academy of Neurology. One of the things when you're going whole food plant-based, you don't have to read labels, because the only label you need to read is it organic? And there's a chart over there on my table about the difference between GMO and organic. People think that, oh, it's non-GMO, so it's okay, I'm going to pick it up. Non-GMO does not mean organic. I mean, it can, but it doesn't. But anything that says organic is also non-GMO. So keep that in mind. My spices are all organic. Now, when you go whole food plant-based, people have a myriad of questions for you. The first one is, how do you get your protein? I have to tell you that the amount of protein that was in my bowl at breakfast is probably more protein than a lot of people get their entire day. If you look at the animals that are plant-based, there are hippos, there are giraffes, gorillas, elephants, horses, cows. They are all whole food plant-based. Would you go up and ask an elephant, how do you get your protein? These gorillas and elephants, they're some of the strongest animals on our planet. They eat no meat. It's interesting, I like to read the obits, and I have never seen an obit that said anyone ever died of a protein deficiency. Have you? It's just, but when you go whole food plant-based, everyone and their brother is interested in how you get your protein. There are a lot of phrases that I hear and I cringe. One of them is, I wish there was a cure for cancer or stroke or heart disease or Alzheimer's. There is a cure. It's called prevention. It's prevention with your diet and your lifestyle. You hear about people wanting to lose weight. It's not about the weight you lose. It's about eating the right foods to be healthy, to be vibrant. And health is not about the weight you lose, it's about the life that you gain. The handout that I gave you, there's a couple of apps. One is called Yuka, Y-U-K-A. The other one is Bobby Approved. So when I'm in the grocery store, I run this app through everything that I put in my cart. And people will say, loosen up, have some fun, have a burger. I know how to have fun. For my 70th birthday, I jumped out of an airplane and went tandem skydiving with my husband. 2 new restaurants in the Villages, and they're on your sheet. Leahi Health is a plant-based restaurant. A friend of mine just opened that. And also the Poke Bowl is really a nice one too. They have vegan options. And when I'm traveling, I'm able to stay whole food plant-based, including when I'm traveling internationally. I was in Southeast Asia in January and February, and I stayed whole food plant-based the entire time. If you don't take time for your health, for your wellness, you will be forced to take time for your illness. I hope that I have inspired you and sparked some new ideas into you. Do everything in your power. You have the power to make profound choices to change your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health starting today. When you know better, you can do better. Take care of your body. It's the only place where you have to live. Namaste. Okay.
So this is interesting that Diane now has become a detective, and she's investigating her body and her eating habits and what has happened to her in the past that got her to the health issue. And I think it's great. She's really putting out the effort and showing how committed she is to figuring out what she can do to fix things.
Right, and did all the research.
Did the research.
So I love that. And I love that she's giving you guys recommendations of the books that made her passionate about her changes. I'll tell you, the book that makes me the most passionate is Younger Next Year. I give that to each of my clients, and I just absolutely love that book. We'll put links to all of these books in case you're interested. But that one motivates me with fitness and health and wellness the way these books have motivated Diane. And I just love hearing that when someone gets that passionate. Do you listen to podcasts too that do that? Highly recommend, guys, that in your downtime or your relaxation time, have some things that also give you that passion and motivation. Because a lot of times it's information you probably already know, but when you hear it again, even like with Diane's story, we're hearing things that we know, but when you hear how it works and you hear what it's done for somebody, it motivates you more to be like, yes, I'm on the right road. Or it might give you an idea where you're like, oh, I didn't think of that. So I hope that's what you get from this talk today, but also maybe some of this literature that we're giving you.
Oh, and by the way, I have zero medical training. These are my opinions from what I see and from what I learned most of this from Joni and Peter Atta and
Mark Hyman.
Yeah, and the podcast. So, as Diane says, trust but verify.
Mm-hmm. Yes, these are our personal opinions.
Yeah, spend time figuring it out, looking things up.
Right, and we are giving you our personal experiences and how it's benefited us. Every body is different, and I'm not just talking to everybody. I mean, everybody's body is different. So you do need to find what works for you, and that's why I think it's never a cut and dry. What works for one person may not work for you because your genetics are different. Your body is different. Everything will affect you differently. So it is kind of trial and error, but I think all of the information Diane has given us today is really beneficial and can help you in so many ways. And I love all of this information. I love the restaurants that she mentioned. We did cover Jody's restaurant in one of our videos, so I'll put the link in the show notes if you want to look back on that about her restaurant and the new one that just opened up. So I'm really happy that the Villages is getting some really good plant-based options, because I know a lot of you have asked that question. So here you go. Here's 2 restaurants, and here's some great information, and there are groups. There's several plant-based eating groups that you can join to get together with other people to discuss recipes and your passion. So that's what the lifestyle business are all about, or the lifestyle groups are all about.
And the books that we referenced today are in our Amazon link in the show description, as well as Diane's contact info. She would love to hear from you. You can talk to her if you have any questions, or to arrange her speaking at your group.
Exactly. So thank you so much for clicking in and joining us for this. We hope you loved the information you got. We have these meetings several times a year, so there'll be another one in September. So if you're here in the Villages, come join us. Thanks so much for watching, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.